G'day, it's Mark, and welcome back to the channel. I'm with my good mate here, Jared.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, you might remember Jared from a previous episode on the channel. He's got a VP 5-litre S-Pack ute, so check that out. But today we're going to be talking about a car that it's probably closer to your heart than mine, but
Yeah, it was my first car ever.
First car ever, 1970, was it a 74 or 5? 75. Chrysler by Chrysler, 360 V8. And as Jared said, it's his first car ever, but I also had one as well, and we'll talk about that as we go through the episode. Now, Jared, tell us a bit about your Chrysler by Chrysler, I guess, where we saw it originally and what we did on the test drive and what you thought of the car.
I think we were going to a nightclub for the night in Cremorne. I think we parked the car and we walked around the corner and we saw this Chrysler by Chrysler in a Ford dealer.
Used car lot, wasn't it?
Used car lot,
yeah.
$24.99, which was just under the warranty price.
Yeah.
It was in really good nick. It was a one-owner pensioner's car. They got discounts on registration and didn't have to pay tax back then. I don't know if they have to now on cars. But anyway, saw it and I thought it was too expensive at $24.99.
Really?
Yeah.
I was pretty excited about it, wasn't I?
Yeah.
As always.
Anyway, we went back the next day and we took it for a test drive. And I don't know why I bought it after the test drive, but we'd gone for a test drive around the Cremorne Point area. Yeah. Carraba Point, actually. And Mark was driving it and did this, I shouldn't say it, but this huge burnout in this old Chrysler by Chrysler. It wasn't that old at that stage.
Well, the road narrowed, didn't I? Had to lock up the brakes and then I floored it.
Yeah, it was one-way street.
Right rear
sort of,
tyre,
out in the point. Anyway, we did that.
Remember the smoke cloud that went over the bay?
Yes, it was looking back now, it was dreadful, but at the time it was fun.
Yeah. Well, you said, I remember when I did that.
And I said, I've got to buy it.
I'm buying it. And we had to rub the rubber off the rear wheel arch, didn't we?
Yeah, anyway, went back to the dealer and ended up buying the car. Having to pay the full $24.99 for it, which I thought was expensive, but they wouldn't give a discount. But it was
so cheap, really.
Yeah, nowadays you look at it, it was certainly cheap for a really good one-owner, top of the range.
It was immaculate, wasn't it?
It was.
Beautiful interior.
Had lovely, nowadays people would laugh at you, lovely white vinyl interior.
Yeah. It was go green, wasn't it?
Go green with a white vinyl roof to match the seats.
Yeah.
The fellow that had it had optioned without the air conditioning.
Right.
So it was the 360, no air.
Had power windows? No.
No power windows. It was
like a standard model, wasn't it?
Yeah. Which was unusual because most of them came with the, I don't know what you'd call it, the cloth sort of
the brocade
interior.
Yeah.
And normally they were quite dark inside. But anyway, this was go green colour.
Yeah, it was very bright.
White interior, so it was nice and bright, lovely wood grain dash.
Yeah.
And it had a tape player on the right-hand side, remember, and you'd push it downwards to turn it on and it'd play through your tape. Then click over to the other side instead of having to eject and turn the cassette over. And I thought that was quite flash at the time.
It was probably an American radio from the Chrysler parts bin that they used, I'd imagine.
Yeah. And the other thing I remember, it had little blinkers on the fronts of the guards, little chrome blinkers, so you could see it, which a lot of cars have got them on the mirrors now, so you can see if you left your blinker on or whatever. And
it had massive gobs of torque, didn't it?
It, I don't know if you remember this, but we were out at, I think it was St Ives or somewhere, and you, I think, had your ZH Fairlane, and Pete had his GTS Monaro. Yeah. But the poor old Chrysler was quicker than both of them off the mark. Yeah,
it was, because mine was a 302 and Pete's was what was he in there?
308.
He was a 5-litre GTS. Yeah. That was the slowest of the three, wasn't it?
It was. I don't know if it was because
probably
of
Pete's
gear
changing.
Yeah. But I really liked that car, I must say.
That was jasmine yellow.
Yeah,
GTS.
That was a nice car. I would have loved to have had that.
Yeah.
Too expensive for me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That was probably $5,000 worth of car.
I think it was about 7.9 when he bought that. Yeah, it was dear. Yeah.
Well, there you go. The difference.
He was working though. We only just started working. Yeah. He'd been working a while, but anyway.
But it was a nice car, and
yeah. I thought it was a great looking car. I remember that. I think I got a photo of it somewhere. Like we were doing the spark plugs and had the 5.9 litre decal on the air cleaner, which was like the whole car was in very nice condition. You had it quite a few years, didn't you?
Yeah, and
I remember the power steering was ultra light.
Ultra light, yeah.
Yeah.
It was frighteningly light sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
And then because I was working for Mitsubishi at the time, I talked to the dealers through, I was in the distribution department, and I'd always ask the dealers if they had any old Chryslers or anything traded in, old signs and things like that. I actually got a couple of old signs, but the young Mitsubishi had a white one that was traded in. It was a bit rough around the edges. It wasn't too bad. It was white with a black roof, a gold brocade interior. It was an early 71 or 72 model.
probably an old farmer's car.
Yeah, brocade interior, power windows. I think it had a power seat too, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so anyway, we went and got the car. So I remember when I bought that Chrysler by Chrysler, I think it was $1,250. It was pretty cheap. It wasn't anywhere near as good a condition as Jared's car, but I wanted a second car. I had the Buick Riviera, 74 Riviera, and I wanted something I could just sort of maybe run around in a bit more. But my God, that thing drank fuel like there was no tomorrow, and drank more fuel than the 455 Riviera. But there's an interesting story about our trip back from Young. We headed off from Young, a convoy of 2 Chrysler by Chryslers, the green one, your Go Green machine, and my white one. And everything was going well. I think we would have probably filled up with fuel in Young and would have had the typical Chrysler fuel gauge that was sort of doing this, moving around. And anyway, we'll tell the story. What happened?
Well, heading out of Young, probably, I don't know, 20 k's out of Young in the, what would you say, sheep were off in the field, and you're just scooting along, doing the
100k or plus, a bit more.
Yeah, probably a bit more, because there wasn't the radar or anything there was nowadays, and testing out a new car, I suppose. Instead of being gentle with it till you know what it was like, you tested it out a little bit. Anyway,
we were young.
You're scooting along, and I'm following you, probably, I don't know, 15 car lengths back.
Yeah.
And this sheep runs out in front of you, and it's the funniest sight. You lock the thing up, there's this big lock up, and the sheep's got to go in there, and I'm laughing, thinking, please don't hit the sheep. But
and it jumped out of the way, didn't it, at the last minute?
It got out of the way.
I could even see you laughing in my rearview mirror as I was doing the big lock up.
Yeah, well, I was getting closer and slowing down, and sheep jumps out of the way, so off Mark goes.
Yeah.
But what's the stupid thing do? Decides to cross back in front of me. It's the same thing. The lock up, the big screech, no ABS, no whatever.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we both missed it.
Yep.
I think we stopped down the road a little bit and had a bit of a laugh.
Yeah,
but,
we pulled over somewhere, like a dirt road or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but we pulled over and we were laughing our heads off. We thought that was pretty funny.
But it was the highlight of the trip in some ways, apart from buying the car. But
Jared, I mean, I didn't keep my Chrysler by Chrysler that long. I don't know why. I think the steering, I found it really super light. I remember I borrowed your car once to get something that was getting serviced or whatever, and I think you took my car to transmission.
That's right, yeah.
Hornsby to get it serviced. And I had his car. I took that to work, and my God, I made my first right-hand turn. I thought I was going to drive into the footpath. Steering was so over-assisted compared to the ZH Fairlane, the Sportsman. But anyway, it's fine. But anyway, I got. I don't know. I was just a bit past the second car. I think I had a few second cars over the years, and I eventually sold it. But how long did you have that Chrysler for? It was quite a while.
Quite a few years. I kept it until I bought, I think, a Peugeot 604.
Yeah.
Which was
I'll put a picture in there of the.
I think that was a V6.
That was a lovely car, very smooth. I didn't have the power of the Chrysler by any stretch, but you had a few issues with that transmission, didn't you?
It was a nice car, beautiful interior. That had.
Sunroof,
and
power windows.
Power windows.
Yeah.
And the steering was such a.
It was beautiful.
Different.
Yeah. It actually had things called road feel. Anyway,
but it was a great first car, and I don't regret having it. And sometimes it'd be nice to have it just sitting in the back of the garage. I
wish you had kept it. I 100% would have bought it off if you didn't want to keep it, because now these days they're worth a lot of money. And even my old white one, I wish I had just kept that. I mean, so many of these old cars you owned, you wish you kept, right?
Well, I think the only thing I did to it was put dual exhaust on, which I was talked into doing.
Yeah, it sounded fantastic.
And it did have a
had a good note.
Good note, yeah.
But anyway, look, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I just thought that's a little story. Jared and I were talking about it when we caught up over sort of Christmas, New Year. But thanks again for watching. Please give the episode a thumbs up. Let's say that side, isn't it? Subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and thanks again. See you next time.
Bye.
See ya.